Okay, so in this week's NAOL review, I'll also review three single-digit Q games. And starting off, we have this game between a 1K and a 2K. So first corner, Joseki here, so far so good. And I think at least one of the players here. So if you just aspect of the part of the game that you want me to skip to, feel free to let me know now.
Yeah, no, this one I got smoked. I played black this game. I know I messed up the
Ah,
top right. I know I messed up the top right. But the game got out of hands. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure why.
okay. So I did look at the opening here briefly. I think you just got outvalued very quickly. The
Yeah,
few shape issues. You lost a little bit in the top right, but it's not like crazy. The problem was is this move.
yeah. It just needs to be
Um,
Q17 or the attach.
Q17. Q17, yeah. And then if you want to avoid fighting, this move is typically fine. So it's a very similar sequence as your game, except you get an extra extension. So you force white to spend an extra move here.
Okay.
So just remember this attachment. If white Hane, you can Tiger's Mouth down. And notice you fix the cut in Sente, now you can get this Hane. Right, so there is, in some cases, black will Tenuki here, and then white will play here. But in the game, white got even better result because the move at A is pretty useless in the opening. So it's a little definitely better for white. The peep sometimes work, but right now it's just a little bit too early
Okay.
because you might use this move or a lot of times actually this approach is the best because you can cut and it doesn't strengthen white as much. So white kicks here, tiger small, you can extend up. Your shape is still good. Whereas after you peep, locally there's not a good continuation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so peep is more situational. So let's say you have a stone here, you need to make two eyes real quick, then yeah, you can peep and then like descend. This will maximize your eye shape. But that's more of an emergency situation. Yeah, and then here I think that things really went downhill for you. So the key, yeah, I think losing this stone was pretty important. You have to connect here. And in this situation, the game is still pretty balanced. Were you worried about other, like maybe white will fight here or some other
I'm not
variation?
sure. I'm not sure what I was worried about. I do know when he originally played C9. And see if you want to go back to here. I expected him to play C7. After I cut at D9, I expected C7 and I was just going to do the I was planning on doing the double Atari and basically getting that result. So one of the
Oh,
things,
got
yeah,
it.
one of the things that got me with this game was, I fell behind real fast, but I never thought I was behind this game. I was surprised afterwards to see just like how quickly and how firmly I was behind this game because I actually, while playing it, I didn't feel like I was in a bad position. So that's certainly, it definitely caught me off guard. So I wasn't seeing these exchanges, other than the top right corner. I knew that one went poorly, but otherwise, I wasn't seeing these as bad exchanges. So, I was happy with this outcome as black locally.
I see. So every time you give your opponent a Panuki in a shape like this, it's typically bad for you. The reason being you give your opponent extra stone on the side because you lost the
Yep.
stone from the Panuki. And you need something special, like a big good synergy on the outside. But right now you basically got nothing. This is a very normal wall. You started out with some influence here anyway, so you didn't get anything extra.
Okay, that's fair.
And you even got Gote here. So it's like why destroy your side in Sente and you're not really any stronger. So here I would actually think you need to descend down. So you have more stones like towards the center. So you're definitely not afraid of any attacking move by white. Like there's no cut for the time being. The most white can do maybe is to clamp to harass you. But because like the stairs, neither side had a strong presence in the center. You can pretty deal with this pretty easily. Maybe descent looks it's not as obvious of a move, but it's very big. After you did descent, you destroyed close to 15 points on the side already,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah, I was
opened up
definitely
a lot of attacks.
yeah, I was definitely looking at that. I considered it. I considered it here. Didn't play it, but that was at least on my radar.
Right, and notice it extends your liberty with these four stones, so that strengthens your group a lot too.
Yeah.
And then after that, you kind of white has obvious weaknesses here, and then if you approach here, the corner is not super strong. So something to keep in mind. Yeah, at this point, I think white should just connect. So this result is very similar if white just invade here, but a little better for white because white Panuki the stone, and you don't have a straight line connection, and white
Yep.
already connected to this side. So I would think you might have lost more here than even the top right. That's very possible. So this move is slow. I think maybe before you didn't evaluate correctly, but at this point, this move is um, just not proactive enough.
How do I deal with the cut at E7 if I don't play that?
Yeah, so let's say you descend white cuts. One thing to notice is this peep is basically Sente right now. If white Tenuki, you can cut, and
Yeah.
yeah, the ladder doesn't work for you, but even if you cut here, it seems kind of hard for white to manage this. Even getting a one cut is pretty good exchange.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, let's say you don't want to make the peep exchange, you can Atari and then make this net. So white's shape is not super good.
Ah,
So white has to be
yeah, I
careful.
missed I missed the squeeze on that. Yeah, that's nice.
Okay, so white invaded here. I think it's a little bit early. There's still a lot of big moves on the top and maybe even the bottom. But I guess it's possible. Yeah, here again you got outvalued. So it
Yeah, I
started
did.
out with several moves, and now white almost got as many like more points than you in the corner.
Yeah, in Sente.
Right. So in hindsight, have you considered other possibilities?
I mean, we can just attach at Q6. That's probably the more straightforward response.
Right. So I think this will be pretty good. So even if white gets a pretty comfortable life here, you can expand switch your Moyo to the bottom.
Yeah.
And I think white is better off just playing the bottom extension first. In this situation, you play the extension in the game, but in most games, extending here is the softest possible move. You want to either Hane or maybe in this situation you play here.
That's an interesting
Um,
one. Yep.
White can live regardless, but White wouldn't get this Sente second line Hane, and without this Hane, White wouldn't be as comfortable. So for example, let's say white gets this attachment, and then you still get Gote, but your shape is quite a bit stronger.
Yeah, it's much bigger.
And let's say white somewhat reduces this area. You have a backup. Like um, this code is a real possibility later in the game. So white is not completely alive. So it's possible white might make a Sente Hane exchange. So then that fixes the code. But then you get this nice Sente endgame. So just something to keep in mind. And the main issue here is also, I think, is the last move. You have to block here. Blocking here is the strongest move, and you should definitely play a strong move when you're so strong, when your shape is so thick around here. You only have to, the only thing you have to be worried about is this cut at 4. But of course, because you start out in your sphere of influence, that's not a problem. So I think white played a really nice move here by ignoring
Yeah.
your attack because this move secure all the corner territory and is more than you can ever make by killing this stone. But I think definitely this move is something to learn from. Very
Yeah,
calm,
I
high
thought I was being
value.
sneaky. I thought I was being sneaky because C11 is sensei and it forces him to play B6. But yeah, B6 is just it's such a big move in its own right that he's more than happy to play it. So
Yeah, so I think we should visualize just how big this is. So right now, white has all of these territory are points now. And notice this peep is no longer Sente, so we have to recognize that too. So that's
yep,
17. Had you played this descend, um, white is a lot weaker here. And then over here, because you have a monkey drum Sente, white only has 7. And then here, maybe 2, but that's being a little generous because white has obvious weaknesses. So that's going from 17 to maybe 8 or 9, like about 8 points. And this is a Sente move
yeah.
with a lot of implications for thickness. Here, if you can, you really want to just seal the corner completely. This will give you better shape. As a follow-up, you can push here, and most likely Y will have to extend. And now your seal is very complete. You can still um, try to get a lot of points in the top. With this jump, it's not as complete a seal because Y can still
Yeah.
potentially attach or play here. Yeah, so I don't think white punish you properly here, but this type of thing looks like could be the game ending mistake. Do you feel like you're behind? You want to try something maybe a little more risky?
Yeah, I mean, white has all four corners, right? So I need to get something. I need to get something big on this board, and so I saw this as my opportunity to try to get that.
Right, it's a good thought. But it's just a little too direct, especially because the corner is alive. If you can split two groups that are not unsettled, it might be a better idea. But in this case, only the outside. And notice when you do this type of split, your stones are on the inside. Now white gains 3 stones on the outside. So
Yeah.
this is like a diamond exchange for white to get value on the outside. So at this point, if you can't kill the 3 stones, the game is pretty hopeless for black because you lost a bunch of points here. So I think a more cool-minded way of playing is to really evaluate the situation. So white has 4 corners, yes, but how many points? So maybe like 20 something here. And then the bottom was probably about 30 for white. And
Yep.
then maybe 12 here, about another 10 here. 30, 40, 57, 57, maybe slightly more. So you don't have much territory to speak of, but you have a lot of potential in the center. If you can get the side territory, that would be close to 30 points. And then you have maybe close to 20 here. And then if white make a mistake later, you'll be back in the game. So it's really not so desperate yet, especially because the board state is so empty. So I'll recommend you to protect your base, which is the top. And this move is big and it
Yeah, it
put
is.
pressure on white. So let's say white responds to extend. So now you have a very nice seal. And now you secure a base of probably about 30 points. If white invades your upper side, then you have a really great target to kill. I think this will be a better game plan for you. And notice if let's say white does something else and it's your turn to come back to the right side. Instead of cutting here, you have some sente moves like this, and you can potentially have this looks like maybe 20 points.
Okay, another idea. Yep.
Yeah. So it's better if you can gradually make up the deficit rather than like going all in. Unless you're at the very end, you have to make like a crazy call to reverse
Sure.
the game. But you're really not at that point yet. You're only 16 moves in. Honestly, it's still very like a toss up at this point, even though white might be 10, 15 points ahead. Yeah, so here you just got no value again, just like in the other fights. So you're not setting yourself up for
Yeah.
success unless white somehow massively blunders. But white shape is all really good, so there's really no like opportunity for white to blunder. I think that this is a small mistake. All white needs to do is either just to ignore you, or I mean, this move doesn't really do much. There's still a lot of bad Aji
Yeah, there
in
is.
this area. Yeah, so you got some on the right because white lost a stone, and then you protected your top side. But um, overall, you outvalued because white gained more in the center. Actually, you might be worried about this cut, but maybe white figure it's already enough. Yeah, so I think after that, this is just looks like a losing game for you. And then you lost a few more stones. So for the sake of time, I will move on to the next game.
Okay.
But is there like closing question that you have?
No, I think you pointed out some stuff that I hadn't considered that is good stuff. So no, thank you for the review.
All right, cool. So I think the main takeaway is like, yeah, you fell behind a couple fights, but it is really still a long game. You should just play calmly and um yeah, be
Okay.
patient to find your chance. And you definitely will.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is this might be the last game, but I think one of the players here, if you have
I'm in the other one,
oh, let's see
the last one on the list. Yeah, that one.
that one. Right. Are you black or white?
I'm white.
White. Do you have any questions right off the bat that you want me to address?
I mean, there's two moments, one earlier and one towards the end, where I'm pretty sure my opponent didn't play optimally, and that led to me winning. And I was wondering what the optimal, like, so like right here, this is one of those
Oh,
moments. So
so you're white.
I don't know what I'm curious about whether h5 was a good idea, and once I committed to h5, whether the cut at I think g3 or whatever, whether there was a better move than this right
Okay.
here.
Yeah,
The
I like your cut idea. This is really
the
good.
cut is fine. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was sound or not. Like once I was so first of all, is f4 the best resistance that black has? Um,
So it's
because
definitely complicated, but your cut is nice because it utilizes your stones here.
yeah, that was the thought.
Yeah, but the other aspect of this is when you cut, you should also be prepared to sacrifice these four if necessary.
Oh,
So that's a
to
possibility.
what end?
So let's see.
It
So
ended up going great for me. Like my opponent blundered, I think, but
I think the blunder is not connecting here. Had white black
mhm.
connected, I think this would be
Exactly.
pretty bad for white.
Oh, okay. This would be bad. So the plan here, if that were to happen, which is what I was expecting, was the connection. I think my plan was to cut at K5,
Okay, so that
um,
oh wait, for here.
something like that. Or maybe it should be J6. I honestly don't remember exactly what I was thinking, but I certainly wasn't expecting him to let me cut at E4.
I see. So notice if you don't cut there and then you just crawl back,
Yeah, this
it's
seems bad.
like slightly painful, but you still have 20 points in the side and the corner.
Mm,
Plus black most likely has to spend another move to fix.
mm.
Okay. So you want to do better than this. So if all you get is living with two eyes in the bottom and then losing most of the corner, plus like an uncertain fight with black in the center, that would not be a good result.
Okay. So then was G3 the problem?
Yeah, I think G3 is your problem, and you should
Okay,
most
so
likely extend here. So now black
okay.
has to be careful. If black pushes out, you can actually just push cut.
Mhm.
And you can even Atari and then push cut. So pretty straightforward. Black is down more than one liberty. So black has to, of course,
Oh, okay.
defend this cutting point. And now you have a couple options. One, you can push out here because I'm pretty sure the ladder works for you. So this
The
ladder
ladder does
kills.
work. Yeah, but
Yeah.
there was something I was afraid of. I'm trying to remember what it was.
So then, but then
So
maybe black.
instead of two at F3, what if it's at F5, let's say?
Oh yeah, but then you can actually just push cut.
Okay, that's the one you were
Yeah.
showing, right?
And so then you will have a fight toward the center. It looks complicated because then black has the time to escape here.
Mhm.
And it's actually not super easy for you to run out these two stones. Can you spot the move to save
Um,
these two stones?
let's see. H7?
Nice. That's good. That's good. You spot immediately. So yeah, if black pushes cut, you can escape. And then black plays here, you can connect. You can
Mhm.
still run out.
Mhm.
Just don't make this push exchange first.
Right. I need that extra liberty.
Yeah. So black will probably connect, and then you play the bamboo, and then black potentially live here. So that's
Mhm.
another option. This looks a little bit uncertain. I'm not super sure if this is worthwhile for white, assuming, of course, the black group lives. Because you start with 20 points, you damage black's group a little bit, you're getting a little in the center, but your corner is now a lot weaker. And if black somehow lives, maybe in
Mhm.
Sente, your center is still not completely strengthened. Like it's not super strong.
Mhm.
So that's one option. But I see maybe you can just play here.
Okay, and then just K4, and I'm ahead by. Am I not behind on? Oh, you mean to sacrifice the stones? I see.
So this is the sacrifice possibility.
This is a sacrifice possibility. Okay, is that is that valid? Like, I feel like that
So
is
I'm just
just a
trying
little bit
to make sure
because
that
I'm
there's
still very
no.
open on the left side, right? Like the stone at F12 is very loosely connected to C9. So it feels like if I just invest all of this into a wall in that direction, and then my opponent just plays D10 or something, then maybe E11. Oh, sorry, you're still reading the plate here.
Okay, so basically, you actually there's some Aji here. You can make a call.
Okay.
And this looks just really the Aji here is pretty bad for black. And at the very least, you have all this Sente.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then finish off with like D11 or something. Like once I take Sente and just seal the left side with D11.
Yeah, so let's just assume since the bottom looks something like this, and then you
Mhm.
seal. So compared to when black shoulder hit, maybe black gained like 15 points, but you strengthen your corner a lot. And now the side is this is completely yours. And you gain Sente, and now you have
Mhm.
center influence.
Well, I use the Sente to play D11. So,
Right, but still, you got Sente
mhm.
locally.
Got it.
I think this is like a acceptable result for you.
Okay.
Maybe even better than the other one, especially if you want to play simple moves. And you
Okay.
can, of course, do even better if you like probe this Ko-Aji.
Mhm.
Black just has to be super careful here. And maybe there are even more moves like this one. Um,
Ooh.
maybe a tarring here is not a good idea. You should save that exchange for later. Right. So then there's Liberty shortage.
Wait, so yeah, why not G1 in response to F1?
So I think black is dead here after the exchange.
1, 2, 4. Okay.
Oh, black has to be careful. So there's no opportunity for black to make this exchange.
Okay, so that's what 7 accomplishes. It prevents
Yeah,
E2.
right.
I see.
So might have to do more reading to double check, but there's a chance that black just straight up collapses, and if
Hmm.
not, you can save the capturing race for this Aji.
Hmm.
If black Hana, you can make a ko here, and in this game you
Yeah.
can pretty easily create a big ko threat. Just do something in the
Right,
top
right.
left. And you're not losing that much because you already got a wall on the outside. So
Hmm.
you're putting in maybe 20
The
points.
flower coin.
Yeah. And in the
Okay.
process, you already got the left side for free. So it seems like a doable trade. So there's that. And then what's the thing later in the game?
So the thing later in the game, yeah, keep going. It's towards the end. It's what yeah, okay, so go
Okay.
back, sorry. Not that far back. I
Right
guess
here.
not really that. No, it starts with the invasion at C7.
Oh,
Um,
C7.
so I didn't understand C7 at all when he played it, but I totally missed the purpose of C10. And up to here, like I thought this was great for white. I completely blanked on the fact that actually like
Oh,
he was targeting the top here. And then
very
from
sneaky.
here, yeah, from here I had to essentially fight for survival, which I did. And it turned out great, but I think he made a mistake right here, or maybe the next move after this. Um, there. So if instead of L7, if he had played like G7, then okay, hold on, no, it wasn't that. I was looking at it yesterday, but I've okay, right, okay, maybe yeah, sorry. So after that cut, he basically just needs to, so if I play K8, then I'm threatening the push at G7.
But right now
But
you don't have a stone here, so that's not an Atari.
correct. I'm trying to hold on, let me look
I think
at my previous
black
analysis.
has a better chance this way.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, even in that previous line, so where I said what happens uh if he
Like
responds,
here.
yeah, here, if here he responds to G7, and then you point out that I could just play L7. Well, but then he captures those two stones, and actually he's captured, or could he play C7 instead of capturing the two stones? Would that
You
um
mean B7 or
uh
I
no,
mean
I guess, yeah, I
yeah,
guess
this is just capturing three zones.
that just captures, and then he can connect. No, he can't even connect underneath. No. Okay. Um Okay, so then let's zoom back a little bit. So was did H10 work because I got lucky and he messed up, or does H10 actually work? Like with best play from both sides here, is H10 surviving or not?
I think you'll be in slight trouble here. But you might be able to survive just because of this cut.
Yeah, that was a resource that I did end up using, but I felt like it needed more setup before it works. Because if I just do it right now, he has the double Atari. Um,
So all you need is to cut off the center group.
mhm.
Or maybe you can even just make two eyes here.
Yeah, I
Or
find it difficult to reason about eye spaces that look like this, where there's just like so many loose connections, false eyes everywhere. I'm never confident in my reads as to
yeah, definitely
whether I
definitely
can make two eyes in there or
complicated.
not.
I think it's slightly uncertain, but black is definitely better if he played the Kama.
Hmm.
So
Okay, so
now
one
if you
that was
can't,
the best option.
there's no escape from this route. If
Hmm.
you black pushes, I think black you can block, black can block. There's still no cut. So you're left with
Okay,
maybe Kosumi and something like this.
what happens after that? So yeah, if he plays L9 like you suggested.
So you might be able to escape because of the Kosumi. So if you Hane, black probably has to extend, and then this is Sente. Maybe you
Hmm.
can just
Oh, I
like
see.
brute force
Just
your
let
way.
him break
Yeah.
in my.
But black has to be careful. At this point, if you reverse cut,
Hmm.
black might be dead. The whole group,
Yeah, yeah.
like even if
Sure.
black runs into your territory.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the game was so it was potentially savable even after that, but was there a better way to deal with the C7 cut altogether?
Yeah, there should be. Yeah, it seems like this cut just existed from a while. It hasn't it's just there. Yeah, you can't block because
Okay,
black
so
can
there's
cut.
no better option. Like what he was entitled to it.
I would say at this point, maybe you're better off just Atari and then play back.
But then
So
after the if he Atari's at oh I see because that okay.
so then you get a Sente in the center.
Hmm.
I think you might have a better chance of living here.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that
And
does seem better.
this pushes Sente. So you do have a few forcing moves to utilize. Yeah, in this situation, I don't think you will die. Looks hard to kill because black's still owing a cut.
Hmm.
You will probably lose a lot, but the core group won't die. So in hindsight, you should have fixed that earlier for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely didn't
Yeah,
occur to me.
maybe at this point just block. Blocking is a really big move by itself too because you have a Sente Hane connect.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, those are my only two questions. The rest of the game I thought was pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
unless there's
Another
mayonnaise.
thing is maybe now's a good time to probe the corner.
What does that probe accomplish? What am I looking to check?
Yeah, so let's say black plays here, you can Hane, and then if white extends, then you already have a send like a Gote life, and then in the center maybe you just need to jump.
Okay.
If black cuts, you Atari, and it could just help you enter the side.
Mm.
And if black plays this or this, then there's still Aji in the corner already. There's at least a Ko. The Aji's bad. So just something to
Is four
consider.
really the best response to three
I
though?
think technically this is probably the best. But there's a code for sure.
Yeah.
And extension is similar. Like it seemed pretty hard to kill this type of shape. Or just here.
What do I do here after B18?
B18.
I just push underneath. See, yeah, okay.
And the thing is, at this point, you can maybe even just block. If you get a Sente block, maybe you're already happy.
Mm.
Because you didn't lose much, you can still go back to here.
Mm.
So the idea is just probe the corner right before you want to do something in the center. Because after this exchange, nothing in the corner works.
Right.
And you lost that zone, so honestly, you're probably better off just doing the one space.
Mhm.
Yeah, but overall, I think the game is just firmly under control after the bottom.
Right.
Yeah, I just gained 40 points.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for showing up. Now we'll move on to the last game. Right, wow, half point. Close game. So is any of the player here? Okay, I guess we can just go through the beginning. That was like a pretty normal Joseki. So here is the first thing that it's slightly unusual. Of course, attach and Hane it's pretty common now. The connection is not as common. Usually black wants to Atari and then descend. And then white has the option of either pushing here or just cut. The simple way is just to cut, and effectively white can split the side. Um, Connecting here is a little loose, a little heavy. I would recommend white just to make an extension. So treat the corner move exchanges lightly. Yeah, there's no reason for white to spend another move in the corner. Right, so now black gets kind of a pincer. I think black should play a little closer, just to make sure white can't get a base on the third line. But the idea is right. So put pressure on white. Now the corner exchange is not so good. So this top right. Yeah, so it effectively looks like this compared to in the game, except white made a bad wedge exchange. Right, and the top right is effectively a Joseki. This is pretty normal. Sometime technically black should Hana here should maybe extend, get an extra stone instead of Hane so quickly, but that difference is pretty trivial. Here, however, the extra wedge exchange I think matters a lot more. So in this case, black gained slightly. I think black can actually just keep pressuring white, take away the base. So white's shape is floating. White's probably afraid to play strong moves like this because black can push cut. White cannot fight. So white has to play softer moves, maybe the Kasumi, and in which case black already gained another move. The H17 move has a lot more value. White just played two moves in the center with no clear profit. And there's still some weaknesses here. A and B are Miai. So I think considering a strategic Tenuki would be a good idea. So interesting exchanges. Pushing here is Aji Keshi. In general, you don't play it unless you need to. In this case, you probably don't need to. And sometimes when you push one, you might as well push another time because that's Sente. And if you Tenuki, then turning here is still a very big move. Maybe I think there's no reason for black to attach. Just jump. Probably Tenuki at this point. Black's happy to profit on the side and the upper left. Interesting exchanges. I would think something like the double Hane or a head of two stones would be better. Extending here seems like it gave white an easy out. So this exchange should be okay for white. But white should probably has a better move by extending the center or just blocking. This is a more proactive way to play. Shemu is extending toward the center. And maybe just turn. Okay, so both sides expanded. So white push here is a big move, but it's probably not Sente. It's a little wishful thinking to assume black will respond. I think the urgent move is of course just the bottom. Maybe here or here, just somewhere, some sort of extension will be the proper move. Sometimes under people miss this a lot, even in down games. Pushing here is not Sente. White can play here, and then you can just Hane. If white double Hane, assuming there's no this cut, you don't want to cut, you can just switch to corner. And honestly, even this double Hane is not Sente. It's just that capturing here is really big. So most of the time, black will just spend a move to live in the corner. But notice even if black Tenuki, this is alive because A and B are Miai, essentially. And now extending here is not the biggest move. Definitely here. We have a few active audience now. Does any of you know how big this move is in this situation where both groups are effectively really strong? So this is a pure endgame. About how big is this? Anyone wants to take a guess?
I'd guess about 10 points.
Okay, so you're pretty
10,
close.
10 to 15.
Yeah, so it's 10 to 15. The range is a little wide, so we want to narrow in just a little bit more. Is it closer to 10 or closer to 15?
Yeah, closer to 15.
So close. It's a little closer to 10. I think it's around 12. And that's a big that's is significant because endgames closer to 15 points are often played like late early game to like mid game. But if it's closer to 10 points, that's just a pure endgame. You will save it until much later. And if you want to do a real quick count, so let's say black Atari's here. Black gains 4, 5, 6. And then white lost also about 6 points versus if white extends here. So like, yeah, these 6 are gone. So it's roughly 12. Maybe you can argue it's 13. It's in that neighborhood. And for reference, this move is much bigger. This is 15 plus because it has a clamp follow-up. Whenever you have a Hane connect with a clamp follow-up, this is 15, at least. And if both sides have a clamp, then that's 20 points. So
I mean,
you
it's
see
only a
that
clamp. It's only a clamp if black takes Sente, but in the sequence on the bottom, that was also a Gote sequence.
right. So you compare a Gote value. If white Hane connect is Sente, then you should play this exchange pretty early, right? That's just favorable. But if it's Gote, then it'll be worth even more. So Sente, this might be like 7 or 8 points. And then if it's Gote, white gets a clamp, that's 20, even more, maybe even more. So you should play this type of move before like capturing 9 stones. That's just how big it is. On the other hand, extending here is not nearly as big. So they sometimes look similar, but they're not the same. And there's another similar shape which is this one. This is 15 to 16, and whereas the other one 12 to 13. So this can be played very early, but not the other one. And that's a big difference. The exception, of course, if you need to capture the stone to live, but that doesn't apply here. So conceptually, I think this is important to get across. Okay, so black turn here. I think that's another mistake. Black should definitely invade. There are a couple possibilities, but if you play somewhere around here, it wouldn't be too bad. I would recommend A or B. When you split a side, always bias towards the corner because there are more points in the corner. So I think A or B is fine. C is also possible, I would say, because then maybe you can peep at D. Okay, so it's a really close game. I think early in the beginning, black gained a bit in the top left and the top, but white gained some back in the bottom right, and it worked out to be really close. So some remaining time, I think maybe be most useful to walk through a common invasion. So how to deal with this. One way is honestly figure out, do you really need to invade? So invading is an option, but it's not necessarily required. In this case, invading I think is a good idea, but if you don't invade, I think extending to the right side is totally possible too. So for example, let's say black plays here, white spends another move, and then you probe in the corner. So then you black profits on the side and then expand toward the center. Well, honestly, maybe black wants to descend. It might be the right time to play this, honestly. So that's one way. So black allow white to gain some points in the bottom, but black profit on the right. And black will still keep Sente. Black can either play in the corner or like let's say expand toward the center. Because notice in the game, black destroys some points in the bottom, but white just switched to the right side. White got two moves here. Like 2 moves. So I don't think overall white lost too many points. If at all. Whereas black got nothing in the center. This is all dame. So in the extension approach, both sides are gaining territory. Whereas in the invasion, black is definitely not gaining, and white can still potentially get more points through attacking. So that's something to consider when invading your opponent's moyo. And the other thing, of course, is the location. This I think is a more unusual way. Usually you want to start like a knight's move away from either side, from a stone from on the 4th line. So either here or here would be more common. And this helps your group settle because then you can have peep or monkey jump on either side. So either here or here in this case would be pretty severe. And this will be pretty easy for black to settle. So let's say white protects a corner, and then black can just easily run out. In some situations, black doesn't have to rush to escape. Black can try to do something else first. For example, if black extends, um, there might still be Aji. So that's something another approach to consider. If you can make an invasion approach and then you force your opponent to play a move on like a low efficiency move on the 2nd line, let's say, oftentimes the best response to that is to Tenuki. So locally, it's not easy for black to make 2 eyes. Maybe black can try something like this. But that's not putting a ton of pressure on white. And the only thing black achieves is to destroy maybe 15 points, at most 20. But now black has the liability of a weak group. So instead of that, black can treat this as a Sente exchange, a beneficial exchange, and then just play another big point. So now when white tries to swallow this 20 points, black can profit more from the remaining Aji. Like something like this later. Or maybe there's other invasion, and maybe there's you can probe in the corner first. Something like this. So those are all possibilities. In this game, maybe black can jump. I think that's totally fine. But we should keep other possibilities in mind. And then the last bit, I'll just see if there are any notable endgame moves. So black extended here, which allow white to block. So this is still fairly early, less than 100 moves in, but we're clearly at the endgame stage because every group is settled. So at this point, we should kind of reset our intuition a bit because points is everything at this stage. So second line moves first, corner, side, and then center. Neither side will have much in the center. So nothing you can play in this area will be worth more than 10 points. Maybe like 5 would be generous. So take the point on the side first. Either there's still a few big moves in the bottom too, the jump here, or blocking. And it's a little under the radar, but this type of double sente move is also huge. It seemed like black probably lost some points near the end. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a half point. So black captured this stone. It just seems really small at this stage. Black can connect here in Sente. It's a little awkward for white to fix. Let's say white fixes here. I'm not sure if black really needs to reinforce. There could be more Aji in the corner, for example. Anyways, let's just see. So I think black missed a good chance. Because this Atari is Sente, black can just attach. And now the game will suddenly be over because there's no way to kill this group. And white lost a lot of points in a close game. So white definitely needs to defend. Whenever you see a shape like this where you can Atari, and then after Atari, there's exposed to the cut, your radar should be on about potential Aji in this area. And the Aji will be usually around the peep area against the cut. So either here, here, or here. Because of course, cutting directly doesn't work. So let's look at this move real quick in the last remaining minutes. If white connects black and Atari and cut here. So locally it still doesn't work. But we can already see black is a little better. This is a nice nice endgame. Black already gained a little bit. And the other aspect is potentially there could be life in the corner. So this is at least a call for black. And if white plays here, this Atari will be important. So notice peeping first is good because you preserve the option to Atari on either side, whichever side suits black better. And now black can play the 3-3. Let's say white plays something. And then there's definitely something here. At the very least, white will have to give up the 3 stones. So that would be a nice endgame. And if white blocks here, maybe black can Kosumi first. And then play this Kosumi. Locally, this group might be dead. But just like before, there's this Aji. So that's something to consider. Yeah, the exact sequence will have to be read out a little bit more, but suffice to say, white has to be very careful in this area. And notice maybe black can start with this Hane connect. Let's say white just defends here, then there's even more for black to play with. So be very aware of Aji, especially in a corner like this. It's a big corner, but it's also a little bit open, especially when there's some liberties shortage on the outside. And with that, I think I will conclude the review for this week. Does anyone have any final questions? All right, if not, I'm just happy to end here. Thank you all for coming out tonight, and best of luck in your league game next week.
Thanks so much, Albert.